Hi, Kelly. What's up, you all? How is everyone? Yay, Kelly. I can't see who's here yet. Oh, there we go. A few people are here. How are you guys? This should be a very interesting live. Oh, okay. We'll give people a second to join. You can kind of see Eva in the background a little bit. She's right here in this thing, but she's not moving. Wait, can you hear me? I didn't have my microphone on. Let me know if everything sounds okay. Yes, and Eva, you can kind of see her fur right there. All right, I'll give people just a minute. Happy Monday. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. It's freezing where I am. I went Christmas shopping earlier today and it was nice and sunny when I went in the store, and it was freezing in winter when I left the store. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I think I can get started now. So we're going to go through. There are 5 installments. Hi, Matt. Hello. There are 5 installments of the Twitter files. I'm sure you heard what's in some of them. I thought it would be fun. So if you guys want to grab a drink and join, we're actually going to read through the second installment of the Twitter files. And these are the people that were blacklisted on Twitter. Maybe we'll get through the third one. I don't know if we'll have time. But it's the second one was pretty good. So it'll be pretty juicy. And before I even started this live stream, Elon Musk went just absolute ham on Twitter today, and now everyone is freaking out. So before we get into the Twitter files, can we just take a moment to look at how everyone is freaking out about Elon Musk? But first, so this happened. I don't know if this was Saturday night or last night, but this was definitely over the weekend. Dave Chappelle was doing a show in San Francisco and actually brought Elon to the stage, and booing did ensue. So let's just look at what happened. And apparently 2 fights broke out within the crowd. So of course the internet all day today, they're showing this as, nobody likes Elon Musk. He's a terrible, evil, awful dictator human being, because people were booing him. But when you listen to it, it sounds like a mixture of boos and cheers. Also keep in mind, this is San Francisco, and Dave Chappelle actually makes a joke after the booing happens and said some of those might be some of the people that you fired. But keep in mind, this is San Francisco. It's like 80% Democrat. This is super, super liberal country. So there probably are people that were in attendance at Dave's show that just hate Elon Musk and everything that he represents, which is ironic because you are at a Dave Chappelle show. So you should be sort of privy to comedy and offensive comedy, but I guess not everyone gets the memo. But I actually heard from people that were there, and they said that it was just a super awkward vibe in the audience. 2 fights broke out, 2 pretty big fights, and it was just weird. And they also said that it was kind of difficult for both Dave and Elon Musk to sort of get out of this. I didn't think they were expecting the reaction, but it was odd. Anyway, I'll show this to you. We'll look at some of the freakouts that people had today over a joke that I thought was pretty funny that Elon Musk tweeted out. And then we'll get into the second installment of the juicy Twitter files. So this is what happened last night at Dave Chappelle. Last night or Saturday night, but it was definitely last night or Saturday. Colorado Springs, hello. Okay, so this is when Dave brings Elon onto the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the richest man in the world.
There's like it's cheering and booing. I I don't know what's going on. It's a little awkward.
Cheers and booze, I see.
Yep.
Elon.
Hey, Dave.
Controversy, buddy.
Weren't expecting this, were you?
It sounds like some of them people you fired are in the audience.
See, it was just super awkward. But I think this is so significant and I think it's so fascinating because this shows you how polarized we are as a nation. Like, there are some people that are cheering, some people that are booing. There's a faction of people that think that Elon is a hero. There's a faction of people that think he's the worst thing ever. Kind of like Donald Trump. It's the same type of polarization. I'm in the middle. I don't think he's a hero or a villain. I think he's a human, a flawed human who does really cool things, who I'm sure also does things that are not so cool. But two things can always be true at once. You can really appreciate what someone is doing. You can appreciate certain things about that person and celebrate those things. You can also recognize that someone is a human being and that none of us are heroes 100% of the time. None of us. The only one that is the man with the capital G. That's it. But okay, so this happened over the weekend and then this happens today. So I think this was today. So this is what people were freaking out about today. So this is from Elon Musk's Twitter account. Hi, MacGyver. And you can see some of the things that he was tweeting out, which made people's minds break. So he says, the woke mind virus is either defeated or nothing else matters. My pronouns are prosecute Fauci. Truth resonates. Calling all, I can't even see what that is. Please attack me. Cool. The bots are so far unable to swarm the top of my replies. So it's these type of things that people are very angry about with Elon, that he calls it out. And obviously the prosecute Fauci was a joke, but they can't take jokes. And this is the problem. And again, this is the irony. You're at a comedy show and you have this billionaire who is a bit edgy, who doesn't go along with the status quo, who calls truth to power, who calls out the bull crappery, and he makes jokes. He's kind of funny. Yet the people that are there who bought tickets to go see a comedy show are so offended by all of this. And this is how you know we live in a backwards world. This is the audience that should love a person like Elon and what Elon represents. Obviously, no one is a hero, but you get what I'm saying. They should love Elon. They should think what he said was hilarious. And it's the liberals who should like this type of person. But it's not. The tides have turned. It has shifted. So these are the types of things that were being said about Elon today. I am looking for a lawyer/law firm that will file a class action lawsuit against Musk. For many of us who were here long before he arrived, he has ruined Twitter in too many ways to explain in a tweet. Well, please enlighten me and tell me exactly how Elon Musk has ruined Twitter. But they can't, because he really hasn't. Actually, I believe it's gotten a lot better. Like it's a lot more proficient, and he has a lot less employees. I've seen engagement go way up, actually, since he took over. Oh, that's the same one. Someone says, my pronouns are he/him, and Elon Musk is inciting violence. So saying a joke now is inciting violence. That's why people get so upset. That's why people leave their family members behind. They don't talk to their friends because they have been convinced that now telling a joke is inciting violence. And this is why you have Donald Trump getting banned on Twitter. This is why you have so much. This is why you have neoliberals that are now in favor of censorship, because they think that telling jokes now is inciting violence. Even if you are someone that subscribes to the idea of pronouns, let's say you like telling people your pronouns, you have it in your bios, you live by the pronouns, you should still at least be able to see a bit of the humor and absurdity in the whole pronouns conversation. You should be able to have a little bit of self awareness. Like, yeah, we can kind of poke fun of it. It is kind of silly in a way, but I believe in it. It's my thing. So, you know, no one's inciting violence against you. And you can't have a pronoun. I believe it was Matt Walsh who tweeted this out earlier in the day. He's like, you don't have pronouns. You can't take ownership over pronouns. You can't take ownership over a verb or a noun. You can't do that. It's not yours to do. You can't just own a new verb. You can't just have your own pronouns. We don't get to have our own pronouns. And to require other people to subscribe to this ideology is just it's authoritarian. Here's MSNBC. It's an emerging reality that Twitter is being run as a dictatorship. And like any dictator, Elon Musk appears sensitive about his power and his arbitrary and his judgments. I haven't seen that. If you guys have, let me know. Love him or hate him, he literally just said he wanted Twitter to be a free speech platform. And this is the reaction he's getting from that. And this is what we're going to get into. So I'm hoping to get to maybe to do part 5 tomorrow. That depends on what's in part 2 and 3 and 4, because part 5 of the Twitter files is Trump, when they removed Trump from Twitter. And I want to point out something that Elon tweeted out. He said, under pressure from hundreds of activist employees, Twitter deplatforms Trump, a sitting US president, even though they themselves acknowledge that he didn't violate the rules. And this is also happening in politics. This happens in California, and this happens on a federal level. You have a lot of people that are pressuring these corporations, politicians. A lot of the people that are pressuring them are a small group of very loud, very radical activists that most of us don't agree with. Liberal, conservative, independent, most people do not agree with these radicals, yet they are literally convincing corporations and politicians to listen to them, even though they do not represent the majority of people by a long shot. Yet this is how much power they have, because they are so loud and they are so radical and they are so aggressive that they will get corporations, they will get politicians to make decisions based on that. Yes, the insane asylum is running the country, is running the institution. That's essentially what's happening. And when you actually see these people, you see them and a lot of things make sense. And that is what happened at Twitter. And that's what's happening in a lot of places. And, it's so funny because, you have someone like the person, that tweet that I just showed you earlier, where the individual is saying that Elon was inciting violence by telling just a silly joke that you should have just be able to get the joke. It's a joke. And intention does matter. That was intended to be a joke. It was intended to point out an absurdity. And instead of focusing on the absurdity that was pointed out in the joke, we are focused on the person who is actually willing to point out the absurdity, and we demonize that person rather than questioning the absurdity that was pointed out. I want to point out something else, and then we'll move on to the Twitter files. I'm going to read it the first time with you. I haven't read the second installment yet. Um, he says, truth resonates. I think that is why when you are radically liberal, when you are on the far left, not like a Democrat, when you are on the far left, that is why people appear to be very angry. They get upset a lot. They are a lot more anxious. There have been studies done that have shown that if you are far on the left, you have a lot more issues with your mental health. You're on more medication. And I think one of it is because you are subscribing to all of these lies. The truth feels good. What's that saying? The truth will set you free. It does. And he said it right here. The truth resonates. It does resonate. When someone says something that is true, you feel it almost like physically. You're like, yes, yes, thank you. Yes, because it feels good to hear the truth. It's free and it frees you. It literally, the truth takes weights off your shoulders. And I think that's why you see a lot of people that there's that running joke that conservative women are more attractive than women. I don't want to say liberal because that's putting because I think there is a difference between a classical liberal and people that maybe just haven't been paying attention past few years, people that haven't realized that their party has gone bananas. So I'm going to refer to them as a far left because I have a lot of friends who are liberal that I wouldn't put them in this category by any means. But I think you know what I'm referring to. I think that's why you see people will say that conservative women are a lot more attractive than radically liberal women. And that's one of the reasons, I think, because you are subscribing to all of these lies and it doesn't feel good and it starts to eat away at you, whether it's your mental health or your physical health. Whenever you put your attention on things that are not true or things that are not godly, you can throw that in there. It will eat away at you after a while. And I think that is one of the reasons why. Just a thought. Anyway, let's get into the juice. Let's get into the juice. The Twitter files. Installment, the second installment of the Twitter files. Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi. By the way, oh, I lost him. They're there. By the way, so it's been released by a journalist named Matt Taibbi, and Barry Weiss has also been helping release the Twitter files. So Matt Taibbi, when I'm finished with this, I'm going to listen to this episode because Matt Taibbi was just on Joe Rogan. I think he was just on Joe Rogan because I just saw a clip pop up. That will be a very interesting Joe Rogan, Matt Taibbi. Let me see when that was on. Yeah. Yeah, so this was just a day ago. So Joe Rogan and Matt Taibbi expose the woke media machine. So that will be a really interesting topic. All right, here we go. Thread, the Twitter files part 2. Twitter's secret blacklist. So, it's often been discussed Twitter shadow banning and censoring people. So, this is what it's about now. So, a new Twitter files investigation reveals that teams of Twitter employees built blacklists, prevent disfavored tweets from trending, and actively limit the visibility of entire accounts or even trending topics all in a second without informing users. Twitter once had a mission to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. Along the way, barriers nonetheless were erected. Take, for example, Stanford's Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, I don't know how to say that name, who argued that COVID lockdowns could harm children. Twitter secretly placed him on a trends blacklist, which prevented his tweets from trending. Or consider the popular right-wing talk show host Dan Bongino, who at one point was slapped with a search blacklist. Twitter set the account of conservative activist Charlie Cook to do not amplify. Also, they sort of did a play on words, by the way, and we call it shadow banning. So what they do when they come out in public, they say, "No, we're not shadow banning. Of course we're not shadow banning. We're not doing that," because they call it like visibility reduction or something crazy like that. So that's what they do a lot as well, and that's how they were able to sort of finagle their way through public criticism when they actually had to defend themselves in public. So they would say, "Of course, we're not shadow banning conservatives because they call it something different." Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, so Twitter denied that it does such things. In 2018, Twitter's Vijay, I cannot pronounce her name. I'm so sorry. Vijay Gad, then head of legal policy and trust, and Kayvon Belpour, I'm sorry, head of product, said, "We do not shadow ban." That's what I just told you. And we certainly don't shadow ban based on political viewpoints or ideology. Okay, so the people that were actively doing this were saying publicly at the same time, we do not shadow ban, and we certainly don't shadow ban based on political viewpoints or ideology. Okay. And by the way, some of this, it's not that it's shockingly new information, but you are just, it's confirmed now. And now we have proof. And now we actually have the files and the inside information to prove what we have suspected all along. Okay, and this is what I just told you. So it is Vijiji. Is it Vijiji? Vijiji. Twitter is a crime scene with receipts. Continuing. What many people call shadow banning, Twitter executives and employees called visibility filtering, or VF. Multiple high level sources confirmed its meaning. Think about visibility filtering as being a way for us to suppress what people see to different levels. It's a very powerful tool, one senior Twitter employee told us. Oh, really? Is it? VF refers to Twitter's control over user visibility. It used VF to block searches of individual users, to limit the scope of a particular tweet's discoverability, to block select users' posts from ever appearing on the trending page, and from inclusion on hashtag searches, all without users' knowledge. And that's the thing. That's what I don't like. Yes, you are a private company, right? You get to do whatever you want. You get to make the rules, and you tell us what the rules are, and then we sign up. We decide if we want to abide by those rules, and that's how we sign up for you. But now you're lying to me about the rules, and then you're lying to me. That's not cool. You're lying to your customers. You're being dishonest to the people that are signing up for your platform. That's a big issue. If you're going to be biased, just come out and say that you're biased. If you're going to shadow ban certain ideas, just come out and say that you're going to do that. And you know what? No harm, no foul, because you told me what I was signing up for. Therefore, I can't complain. I already know what I signed up for. But you're not doing that. You're lying. And that's the issue. That's also the issue with, when you're talking about like Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. Okay, yeah, Fox News is essentially a right wing news channel, but they're pretty open about leaning to the right. You know what you're getting with Fox News. And to be honest, now more than ever, I think Fox News is more objective and a lot of things more than CNN and MSNBC. But that's the major issue with CNN, because when I watch CNN, I'm thinking I'm getting unbiased news, or at least that's what they're telling me. They're telling me I'm getting unbiased news. They're telling me that this is the trusted news source. This is the one news source that's not going to, they're just going to give me objective news, but that's not what they're doing. That's the issue. If you're going to be left-wing media, just say you're left-wing media, but you're not saying that. And the same with Twitter. If you're going to be a platform that censors conservatives, just say that's what you are. And then I know what you are now, but that's not what they're doing. And that's not how they started. When they did start, and it was the same with the YouTube as well. When they did start, it was about free speech and just everyone was on the same level playing field and we all just share ideas, and that's cool. And that's honestly how it should be. But that's not how it is now. And they didn't tell people. They were dishonest about it. Okay. The group that decided whether to limit the reach of certain users was the Strategic Response Team, Global Escalation Team, or the SRT GET. It often handled up to 200 cases a day. That's a lot. But there existed a level beyond official ticketing, beyond rank and file moderators following the company's policy on paper. That is the site integrity policy, escalation support known as SIP-PES. This secret group included head of legal policy and trust, Vijaya Vijay, the global head of trust, and subsequent CEOs Jack Dorsey and Parag Agrawal, and others. This is where the biggest, most politically sensitive decisions got made. Think high follower count, controversial. Another Twitter employee told us for these, there would be no ticket or anything. One of the accounts that rose to this level of scrutiny was Libs of TikTok, an account that was on the Trends blacklist and was designated as do not take action on user without consulting the higher ups, the big guys that handled the big guns. The account, which Chaya Rachlet, I can't pronounce her name either. She is the one that runs the Libs of TikTok. We have her name now because she was doxxed, essentially. But that's her name. I can't pronounce it either. The account, which began in November of 2020 and now boasts over 1.4 million followers, was subjected to 6 suspensions in 2022 alone. The owner says each time she was blocked from posting for as long as a week. Twitter repeatedly informed her that she had been suspended for violating Twitter's policy against hateful conduct. But in an internal SIP-PES memo from October 2022, after her 7th suspension, the committee acknowledged that LTT, Libs of TikTok, had not directly engaged in behavior sensitive to the hateful conduct policy. So let me explain what that means. If you are someone that posts on social media, so I'm a creator, I create YouTube videos and lives, I Instagram, I do Twitter, I do all of it. I am not responsible. I am only responsible for what I put out there. I cannot be held responsible for what people say in the comments or for what people say or do when they share my content. I'm only responsible for the content that I made. And I believe that's a big part of Section 230. And that's how a lot of these sites can exist, because it would be impossible to exist if I had to be responsible for all the people in my comment section. Like, I do the best I can to keep like a positive environment, but it is impossible to be responsible for every comment. I can't do that. And it almost seems like that's what they were doing. They were trying to make her responsible for what other people were saying and doing with the content that she was sharing. And keep in mind too, Libs of TikTok, all she does, and this is why they can't find things that she violates, because all she does is just reshare videos and information that is already public. That's literally all she's doing. The committee justified her suspensions internally by claiming her post encouraged online harassment. See? Of hospitals and medical providers by insinuating that gender affirming healthcare is equivalent to child abuse or grooming. Um, okay, I'll get back to that. Compare this to what happened when the owner of Libs of TikTok herself was doxxed on November 21st, 2022. A photo of her home with her address was posted in a tweet that has garnered more than 10,000 likes. When the owner of Libs of TikTok told Twitter that her address had been disseminated, she says Twitter support responded with this message. We reviewed the reported content and didn't find it to be in violation of the Twitter rules. No action was taken. The doxing tweet was still up with her home address. This was a tweet with 10,000 likes. Her home address was on this tweet. She got suspended because she was told that she was inciting violence because people she had no control over were whatever. Yet her actual address was shared. And I can't even imagine some of the threats that she was probably getting, and that wasn't taken down. We are continuing. By the way, someone is from Venice. Robert Ivy. Happy holidays from Venice, California. Thank you so much, Robert. I lived in Venice, California for a little bit. I still love Venice, even though I know it has its problems. Did you hear about the new AI that can write the news? Liberal reporters are about to become unemployed. Okay, we're doing an intermission from the Twitter files. I'm going back in a minute. We'll just do a quick intermission. You know what's funny? I was telling you guys about Matt Taibbi being on Joe Rogan, which as soon as I'm done with the live stream, I am going to watch that podcast because I think it'll be really good. But Joe and Matt were actually talking about independent journalists. And it's funny that you said that, Max. They were saying that, going independent is the way to go now and not working for these corporations because they have to stay in lockstep with the narrative. They can't do actual journalism anymore because they have to stay with the narrative. Otherwise they fear losing their job. And how can you be an honest reporter or a journalist if you're like, I have to say these certain things, otherwise my livelihood is going to go bye-bye. And that's scary. But they were saying the good thing, and I do think this is a really good thing. They were saying that this is a great time for people that don't want to be in corporate world as far as being a journalist or anything like that. This is such a great time for people that are independent and that build and curate their own audience because a lot of people are getting tired of this corporate journalism and they are recognizing it, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Okay. We are moving forward with the Twitter files. And in internal Slack messages, Twitter employees spoke of using technicalities to restrict the visibility of tweets and subjects. Here's Yoel Roth. I think he was the former head of trust and security or trust and safety. I should have just kept reading. Twitter's then global head of trust and safety, I was right, in a direct message to a colleague in early 2021. Okay. So he says a lot of times SI has used technicality spam enforcements as a way to solve a problem created by safety under enforcing their policies, which again isn't a problem per se, but it keeps us from addressing the root causes of the issue, which is that our safety policies need some attention. So they would try to just go back to technicalities and things like that when they didn't have like an actual reason to ban or suspend or shadow ban, or visibly visibly restrict. 6 days later, in a direct message with an employee on the health misinformation privacy and identity research team, Roth requested more research to support expanding non-removal policy interventions like disabling engagements and de-amplification, visibility filtering. And there is a whole message there where he's figuring that out. I will spare you and not read the whole thing, but I have cliff notes. Roth wrote, the hypothesis underlying much of what we've implemented is that if exposure to misinformation directly causes harm, we should use remediations that reduce exposure, and limiting the spread virality of content is a good way to do that. He added, we got Jack on board with implementing this for civic integrity in the near term, but we are going to need to make more robust case to get this into our repertoire of policy remediations, especially from other policy domains. There is more to come to this story, which was reported by Abigail Schreier, Michael Schallenberger, a few others. The authors have broad and expanding access to Twitter's files. The only condition we agreed to was that the material would first be published on Twitter. We're just getting started with our reporting. Documents cannot tell the whole story here. A big thank you to everyone who's spoken to us so far. If you are a current or former Twitter employee, we'd love to hear from you. Please write to... Wow. Okay, so that was number 3. No, that was number 2. We can go through 3. So that was just about how, I mean, it wasn't too compelling, but now you have actual proof. This is what they were doing. This is how they were doing it. And yes, they were biased. And what's so concerning is you have this platform, and yes, it's just a social media platform. I get it. But it's important because a lot of people share news on it. You have presidents on it, politicians on it that share thoughts and ideas, and journalists that are on it. It is a big deal. Um, and it is sort of like the closest thing that we actually have to a public square. And they're censoring and limiting the information that is available to you. That is, in fact, voter suppression. They are limiting things before elections. They are censoring sitting presidents. They're limiting stories and information that could affect elections. These are unelected people who have no official knowledge in politics. None, zero. These are tech kids. And they are deciding what information is available to you if you choose to use their platform, which a lot of people do. They are actively acting as people, they're suppressing votes. And these are not elected people, and these are not people that have any sort of formal knowledge of politics at all. Zero. And they are deciding what information is you should be able to have. That's insulting. It's criminal, in my opinion. And I've seen who some of these people are, and these people are not people that I would even take like relationship advice from. And I don't mean to sound mean, but I'm just like, I would not even take relationship advice from a single one of these individuals. And these are the people that are deciding what information is available to you as an informed person so that you can make informed decisions. Okay, we'll go through part 3 really quick. I don't think this one is as long. If you can tell, they each sort of focus on different things. Okay, so we will go through this. This is from Matt Taibbi's Substack. So I'll read just a little bit of it for you. So he says, I've just published the Twitter Files Part 3 thread from Friday night here on TK because it exceeds size limits. Okay, so this next material is coming out of Michael Schallenberger. So he actually ran for governor of California during the recall. Wait, no, was it during the recall? No, not during the recall. Just kidding. It was so he ran for governor of California. He didn't make it past a primary, so he would have been in this past election. But he wrote a book called San Francisco Sicko. He's been really big. He's a San Francisco resident, and he's really called out Gavin Newsom and the homeless epidemic that is happening. So he's been very vocal about that. So I'm actually really interested to see what he pulled up. So the next is Michael Schallenberger and another one. Okay. I wanted to draw a quick summary of the main revelations in these documents. I keep seeing colleagues talking about how it's a nothing burger. It just shows a bunch of normal people doing the best they can, which I guess is an opinion one could have. I obviously disagree. There's a lot in this, but here are the key takeaways. The FBI, DHS, DNI coordination. We've entered this project conscious of reports that federal law enforcement agencies might be in contact with platforms like Twitter about content moderation. After not seeing it in the first batch, the Slack entries in Part 3 contain multiple clear displays of cooperation between Twitter and federal law enforcement and or intelligence, including... Oh, did that one just go? Okay. All right. So basically, what this one is saying is in the first installment of the Twitter files, I think it was Donald Trump's removal from Twitter. So we were looking in there. And what was really interesting when I was reading this is I'm reading it and it kept saying, but there was no government intervention involved in all of this. Well, now we know that they sort of did talk, and I think that we all kind of know this. They were sort of talking with the government and the FBI a little bit, and we already know this. Yoel Roth has admitted this, that it was the FBI who nudged them to be on the lookout for Russian disinformation, which is what they did. So when the laptop story gets to them, that's kind of the excuse that they use. They were like, well, we were told to be on the lookout of all of this like disinformation, and that's what we thought this was. We thought this was some sort of Russian officials pretending that we're making up this story about the Hunter Biden laptop. So that's what they said. I personally don't believe it. That is just me. Elon would be doing all of this for nothing if nobody's held accountable. Yeah, it'll be, well, I mean, it's bringing truth. And you're seeing it on Twitter now. Like you could, after he purchased it, you could start to see where all of this censorship was happening because you're starting to see accounts that you hadn't seen in a while. A lot of people were coming back, or you're starting to see tweets that you hadn't seen in the longest time because a lot of these people were being suppressed without even realizing it. So here it is. This is Kristen Ruby, U.S. Political Misinfo Twitter Detection AI List. I have obtained exclusive access to documents that have never been publicly revealed. The information I am about to share with you has never been released. The information is of public concern, and the below thread includes my reporting on it. I have thought long and hard about whether I should release this information. Ultimately, the public has a right to this. Therefore, I'm okay. Unlike the other writers involved in reporting the Twitter files, I do not have access to any direct information from Twitter. My information is from a direct source. I do not have the same level of legal protection these other writers have. I am taking the risk anyway. Hello. I have received several files with thousands of data cells. I will only be releasing a small portion of it, and I have a lot to go through. It's important to understand the context of the information. Okay, so it's basically what this right here is. So this individual has released a list of tweets that have been blacklisted, this and that. So I won't bore you by going through all of that individually, but I think we get the gist of what we're discovering here. I'm really interested. Actually, no, the first one was the Hunter Biden laptop story suppression. Second one was blacklist, how they blacklist. It's so funny to see people, like, to see actors and people in Hollywood. You saw this coordinated effort to, we're quitting, we are quitting Twitter. We're leaving Twitter. It's too dangerous. It's too awful. It's so transparent. It's incredibly transparent. All right, you all. Well, I think that's everything I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I will be live again tomorrow, probably at noon. I'll announce it earlier in the day. I want to go through the last two installments. The last one is Trump's, well, at part 5 is Trump's removal from Twitter and how that went down and what happened. So that should be rather interesting. But anyway, thank you very much, you all, for watching and hanging out. I will see you later. Bye.